homeschooling isn't always picture perfect. Welcome to Homeschooling with Dr. B, where we'll help you find solutions to the challenges you face and celebrate your successes with you. Now, please welcome your host, Dr. B.
Welcome, my tenacious homeschool tribe. Today, we're going to be talking about your special need child takes over your homeschool room. In our case, our special need child has ADHD. So we're going to be talking about that and the challenges it presents. Wouldn't I love to tell you that I have it all figured out and that my child has never taken over my classroom? But that would be absolute poppycock. There have been many times when my ADHD child has taken over our homeschool room. And my homeschoolers lose it because you have a child that's completely out of control. I remember in one case, we were working on this art project and we were melting crayon. And here is my ADHD child refusing to melt the crayon. And then when she does finally melt it, refusing to put the parchment paper on it to iron it. And just causing all kinds of problems. And the other kids were screaming, "Mom, Mom, Mom, Mom." So there have been times it was just overwhelming. You have a kid that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you have the other kids upset. And it just can be really overwhelming. Now, I really wish I could tell you that as an experienced homeschooling family, I have all the answers for you, and I'm going to make your life so much easier because I know everything you should be doing. But the reality is that I don't. Half of the time, I don't know what I should be doing with my special needs child. But there are some things that have kept me from feeling like pulling my hair out on frustration or crying myself just because it just feels like everything's out of control. I can't make anybody happy and I can't get anybody to work. Now, the other thing I can do for you is, despite the fact that I don't have all the answers, is really to tell you that it's okay. It is normal to feel like pulling your hair out. It is normal to cry once in a while. And there's many of us sharing in your experience out there. You are not a bad person. You are not a bad teacher. You are not a bad parent. Special needs kids can create an overwhelming moment or situation. Not bad kids. It's just sometimes it gets to be a little much. So here's some of the things that I've done that have worked for our family. Hopefully they will work for you. Now, I truly believe that the key to success for us has been to improvise, adapt, and thrive. Improvise. I don't try to fit a round peg in a square hole. I just don't do it. Instead, I change the hole. So, if my ADHD child needs to run around while she's reading, I accept that. But I don't necessarily allow her to run around where her siblings were working, because then it becomes a distraction for them, right? So I just adapt the curriculum to meet her specific challenges. And I understand that those challenges will change. I also understand that those challenges will sometimes get really big and then get very small, disappear. They might come back, they might not. And what I did last time may or may not work the second time around. So I really learned to improvise, which is very difficult for me. I shared before that very high functioning, but I am in the spectrum. And when things don't go the way that I think they should, I have a difficult time. But that has been really interesting about having a child with ADHD. She's really helped me or forced me to learn to improvise. Also, being a mom in general has taught me to become more adaptable, meaning to be flexible and adjust to changing factors, conditions, or environments And boy, do children change factors, conditions, and environments from one second to the next, right? So when those factors, conditions, and environments change, I really focus on celebrating the moments where my child feels success. That's super important. It's not all about the challenges. And as overwhelming as those challenges can be, one of the things that becomes super important, both for your own sanity and your child's self-confidence and self-image, is to really celebrate when they are doing well. And that doesn't mean that we expect for the entire day to be perfect or that we expect them to get every single problem right in math or have the perfect paper with no grammar errors. No, I mean, they're able to attend. They're able to, for that moment, sit down and do what they need to do. Celebrate that. Celebrate the small victories and make your child feel as accomplished and as special as your type A personality child. I have one like that. And boy, let me tell you, that contrast between the two can be very challenging for my ADHD child. So I've really learned to do that. I also celebrate the big victories. You know, there are times when the stars align and my ADHD daughter gets all of the correct answers on math. Now, I'll backtrack and say she's an excellent mathematician, but because of her ADHD, she will make a lot of little arithmetic mistakes. And she can become very frustrated, especially when her sister, who's not that good in math, will get them all right. So I make a big deal when things go right. And sometimes I take the time to celebrate things that she should not be doing. For example, one day I turned around and I see that she's not working on math when she's supposed to be working on math. And I say, "What are you doing? We need to get this done because now you need to go to your enrichment classes." And she says, "Mom, you have to check out this poem I wrote. It was in my head in the middle of this math problem. I just had to take the time to write it down." And part of me wanted to go kaboom. It's like, oh, we only have so much time. But I set off that feeling. And instead I said, okay, let me read it. And then I praised her for the content. And I praised her for the fact that she had no grammar mistakes on it. And then after I took a moment to do that and she was smiling, she was so happy, I redirected her back to math. So part of it is even if ADHD takes over, things could still be good. Things could still be right. And of course, thrive. Give yourself permission to let go of the frustration and love your child. Now, you're probably thinking, well, don't I do that every day? We do. We do that every day. But sometimes when we have a schedule to meet or our child's acting up and she's managed to frustrate her siblings, as it's happened many times in the case of my daughter, it is really key to just look at your child and just love them. Love them because they're adorable looking. Love them because they have blue hair or purple hair or green hair. Mine has had a rainbow cornucopia of hair colors. Love them because they're great at poetry or because they listen to really funky music or because their room was clean or it wasn't so clean this time, but they made you laugh or they baked you cookies or your child who doesn't always like to be touched sat next to you and allowed you to cuddle them. It is so worth it to remember that we chose to bring these children into this world and that they are an absolute joy or blessing, whatever it means to you. You know, the other day when I was just completely overwhelmed by the fact that this year we've started homeschooling and my daughter's ADHD just completely took over the classroom, and we had to stop and give her an opportunity to center herself, to center ourselves. I looked at her and I thought, I just don't know how to help you this time. And I remember back to the day when I gave birth to her and she was in the NICU, and I was told she might not make it. And I thought to myself, please, please, Heavenly Father, no matter what it is, I promise you, I will handle it. I want this baby in my life. Please, please let me keep this baby in my life. And in that moment of absolute frustration, I remember that moment, that little prayer out into the heavens, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, because we all have that moment or those moments with our children. And I smiled and I just loved her. I took the time to just love her and say to myself, despite the fact that I'm having this just really challenging time, I love my child. I don't regret having my child. I don't regret homeschooling my child. This is okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Right? We got it. At the same time, I really want to stress that it's very important for you to practice the double R's: rest and relaxation. Children in general are challenging. Adolescence is the toughest part of becoming an adult. And it is a time in which our children don't like us as much as they should. And frankly, we may not like them as much as we should. It's just a very challenging time in their lives when they are going through this process of individuating themselves from us. And they will say the meanest things, and it's so hard not to take offense, or they will fight against everything that you've been trying to teach them. So, in order to be a good parent, in order to be a good teacher, you really have to take care of yourself. Self-care is paramount. And I strongly advise you not to feel guilty about it. As a mom, I've been through times where, taking that time off, I feel so awful. But we need it. You need the nap in that middle of the day, or you need to go have a drink with your friends, or go to paint night, or play softball during the weekends. No apologies, no guilt. It is that time away from our kids and sometimes our significant others that allows us to come back refreshed, reinvigorated, and ready to take on the challenges and ready to love the people in our lives even more. Burnout is the enemy, especially when that special need that your child has takes over your homeschool room. So allow yourself to experience that tremendous frustration, anger, failure, self-satisfaction, joy, and success. Allow your child to experience it too, because it's all worth it. I remind myself of that when ADHD takes over our homeschool room. I remember that my child at the beginning of the 8th grade was already testing at college level for almost every subject, despite the fact her many challenges. And I'm really proud of the fact that just recently, for the first time ever, she chose to do a program without her twin sister that she felt really good about. The many users that have subscribed to her TikTok account, it's not all about the bad. There's a lot of good that has come from homeschooling, so much good, honestly. And she is continuing to step up to the plate and work on that social component, even though it is a challenge, even though she acknowledges it's a challenge, even though her peers sometimes are not very kind, she continues to work at it. And because I'm a homeschooling parent, I'm there to support her through those challenges, to help her when she lets me, to help her work on her skills, to help her find the resources so that she can become not just a better academic, but a better person. I truly believe that these are the benefits of homeschooling. And again, that the benefits outweigh the challenges. So please remember to support our sponsors. They're very important in order to keep the podcast going. HydroFeed has been really neat and super, super generous with their sponsorship. So please check them out at hydrofeed.com. These insoles are super cool. They come in all different sizes, even for kids. And they massage your feet as you walk, right? That super cool gel moves back and forth. So check out the insole that massages your feet with every step. Use the code OMB15OFF for an additional 15% off at hydrofeed.com. Remember, life can be overwhelming, but homeschooling doesn't have to be. Don't forget to check out our support group on Facebook by searching for Homeschooling with Dr. B. For more links and resources, please check out our website. Till next week, enjoy your kiddos.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Homeschooling with Dr. B. Head over to homeschoolingwithdrb.com for more information and resources. That's homeschoolingwithdrb.com. Until next time.